Welcome back to Simplifying the State, the podcast where we break down politics so you don't have to try to figure out why Donald Trump now seems to be best buds with Mom Donnie. As always, I'm Adam Watson.
I'm Nicholas Perrin.
And I'm Drew Garfinkel.
All right, now before we start, if you would be so kind as to rate us and follow the podcast wherever you're listening, and share it with anyone you think would enjoy it, such as friends, family, or a random person you see at the Sam's Club. Okay, so our topic today is going to be about the recent Saudi Arabian bilateral meeting with Trump. Nicholas is going to give us a brief rundown of U.S.-Saudi relations. So Nicholas, you kind of want to walk us through that real quick?
Yeah. So U.S.-Saudi relations began a bit rocky, given differences in the way the two countries are governed, because the United States is a democracy and Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy. But in the wake of the Cold War, this tension faded swiftly. A relationship was built on anti-communism and trade policy because Saudi Arabia has a lot of oil and the U.S. has a lot of weapons. This relationship has had its ups and downs, but it was mostly positive until fairly recently with more and more U.S. meddling in the Middle East. Most recently, it's been due to human rights violations, alleged involvement by the Saudi prince in the murder of a New York Times journalist by Saudi agents, and Gaza. Speaking of, the recently voted for peace plan created by the Trump administration is moving forward with caution. In this state of relations, Trump invited Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to a dinner at the White House.
All right. So I guess one of the first, biggest questions we should be talking about is, why does this matter to high schoolers? Like, if I'm in Clayton High School, why should I care a lot about what Trump is doing with the Saudis? Nicholas, what do you think?
Well, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter as much now, but Saudi Arabia is a very big oil producer, and even though the U.S. is, well, actually, I guess the U.S. is now the biggest oil producer as of recently. If U.S.-Saudi relations are affected a lot, and the U.S. tones down its oil production and can't make up for it with energy production in other ways, then given an oil embargo, for example, we could see gas prices in the United States rising a lot. A lot of high schoolers are learning to drive, and it would be harder to do that with higher prices, and they wouldn't be able to really do that on their own if they have to pay for their own gas. So that's one reason you should be worried about it.
Yeah, as someone who buys gas, like a lot of kids do, it's expensive. I'm driving a lot every time I need to fill up my car. And it gets pretty good mileage too, but it's a big expense for a lot of people.
Yeah. I was sort of wondering when I was looking at this, you were talking about this, and there are other parts to the Saudi-U.S. relationship, which I also think are, more complex. I mean, there is evidence to suggest that there might have been, to some degree, involvement by members of the Saudi government in the plot to do 9/11. There's stuff like that. There are other complexities to the U.S.-Saudi relationship. I'm wondering, what do you think, how do you think the message we're sending is going to be received by people here, people across the world? We're inviting this country which, doesn't have the best track record when it comes to human rights or, just due process or anything like that. We're kind of inviting them here, and we're rolling out the red carpet for that. What kind of message do you think that sends here and abroad?
So I think it affects how we look. I see this, and I didn't want to say anything too specific because who knows? This could be bad looks. Because Saudi Arabia, a lot of people in the U.S. view it as violent, and I don't know if other countries also share this sentiment, but it could be bad in that regard. On the other hand, it could be positive. We could foster relationships, and this could show that the U.S. wants to branch out and maybe trade with other people. So it could go either way, I think.
And to add on what you said, Drew, yeah, in the United States, there are a lot of people who see Saudi Arabia as an absolute monarchy without a due process, like what Adam said. Talk.
Sort of building on that, what kind of precedent do you think this could set for us? In terms of how we do business with other countries, will this decrease our moral standing? Will this not really affect it? I mean, we've been allies with Saudi Arabia for a decent chunk of time. I mean, I think the partnership really flourished after the, Persian Gulf War. with our invasion of Kuwait. But like, what kind of
Do you mean
precedent could we be setting?
liberation? Of course.
Depends
Yeah.
on who's talking about it. So to answer that, I'd say what I said before. It could be bad looks and influence how other countries interact with us, or it could be positive because it's showing we want to reach out to other countries. What do you think, Nicholas?
Well, yeah, like I think it's a mixed look because on the one hand, it's reaching out to, you know, more countries that otherwise we might not have worked with, which could increase benefits in like trade and commerce. But at the same time, it's also dealing with a country that has, like we've talked about, violated a lot of human rights and, is undemocratic. So
Yeah,
I
and
guess
also we're
it's,
sending weapons to them.
oh yeah,
We're
what about the
sending,
F-35?
yeah, we have to. I'm surprised we haven't talked about those yet.
Yeah, I know
We're
Yeah,
you really wanted to
sending,
talk about those, Nicholas.
yeah.
we're sending F-35s, stealth jets, to a country who doesn't have the best track record.
And also has a pretty strong relationship with China.
Yeah, that was actually something I wanted to talk about. Like, I know you wanted to talk about the F-35s, but I also wanted to talk about the F-35s. But yeah, I mean, F-35 is arguably our most advanced fighter jet, maybe between that and the F-22, but whatever. It's our most,
F-47.
well, that doesn't exist yet, basically. Anyway, F-35 is like our most advanced fighter jet, and we're sending it to a country which, oppresses women, which has virtually no democratic institutions, which has a close relationship with China, who is arguably our largest geopolitical rival. And I think that could possibly end poorly because, I mean, China has been trying to get its hands on specs of the F-35 for many, many years now. And this could be us just basically giving it to them.
Yeah, I mean, that could also be like that one photo that, like AI photo that Iran made, like above photo of like, I think it was an F-20, like a massive F-22 with people all around it. I think we talked about it here before, but
Yeah, we
it'll be
did.
like that, but in real life. And Iran could get its hands on the F-35 if China gets its hands on it. Probably not, but it's always a worry to have.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Every time China tries to replicate a piece of U.S. military technology, it's basically like a horribly working version of it. Like, it looks cool, but it doesn't really work well. I mean, that's sort of what a lot of Chinese military technology is. They just kind of stole it from someone else, but it doesn't work as well as the original.
It's like that one time the Soviets stole a couple B-29s and then like disassembled one, tried to fly the other, and the last one they tried to mass produce, but they had a hole in it, and it was literally just the same thing, but with the hole that actually made it like harder to produce and work less as good.
Yeah.
I think I'm out of
Drew,
my
what do you
league
think?
here.
Yeah, you do not know ball. You do not know ball when it comes to history of avionics and stuff.
Like, I think my eyes just crossed for a minute. I was like,
Okay.
oh, where am I?
But what do you think about like the implications of of basically rewarding a country, which I think many would argue we have more ideological differences than we do similarities with rewarding them with our most advanced fighter jet?
So, Trump's always claimed to be America first, but then it's kind of showing, hey, we're sending billions to Saudi Arabia. We sent a bunch of money to Argentina, and we sent a bunch of money to Ukraine, though the weapons we sent kind of old stuff we weren't going to use anyway, but that's besides the point. So someone could make the argument that, hey, we need to focus on ourselves and not internationally.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think there are differences between what we're doing with Ukraine and what we're doing with Saudi Arabia,
Definitely.
just from my perspective. But I agree. You could make, if you're talking purely about an America first versus continuation of globalist foreign policy, I mean, now we're possibly going to war with Venezuela. I mean, we've seen that the sources have indicated that we might be ramping up operations, and I think, I think he campaigned on America first. He said that we're going to be putting America first always, and I don't really see how giving $140 billion worth of weapons, or really selling $140 billion worth of weapons. Yeah, $140 billion. That's what this one is for, which surpasses the previous weapons deal Trump made with them in his first term, which was like $117 billion. I don't see how selling weapons to the Saudis really puts America first and benefits us in any kind of meaningful way.
I mean, you could make the argument that, like, he's making great deals, like he was talking about with his tariffs, and, you know, making money for the U.S. to help our, like, what is it, $27 trillion debt? Or is it like 30 trillion now? I don't know.
Who cares?
Something
we're
like
never paying that off anyway.
Yeah, we're not paying that. It's just like a concept at this point.
I say just
money.
run up the tab, honestly, by this point. Like, we're never paying it back. Let's at least buy a swimming pool.
Yeah, print $1 trillion bill.
Yeah. Might as well, like, give the White House a swimming pool then. Or just make them a White House have a moat. So, like, no one will be able to storm it. That'd be really cool.
Let's just give everyone iPhones.
Invest in a force field around the White House.
God, what's his name? We should give everyone a pony, like that. Vermin Supreme. Yeah, we need Vermin Supreme for president.
Oh my God,
give everyone a pony.
I got so many videos of that guy. Like, I don't know why. But yeah, he wore like a boot on his head. It was crazy. But yeah, like, you could make that argument, like, that he could use the money to reinvest in America. But then I think if you look outside of the monetary aspect of this, I think the main part of this that I think we as high schoolers should be concerned about is just like the moral implications of this, because I feel like no matter which side of the political aisle you're on, I think we can agree that Saudi Arabia is a country that is practicing things that are just frankly un-American, oppressing groups of people and just not having any kind of democracy in their country. And I don't think that we should be trying to grease the wheels with people who do not respect and do not share our foundational ideas. I think you can have diplomatic relations with other countries, but I don't think we should be going above and beyond to maintain our partnership with these guys.
Yeah, and especially with the United States becoming such a big oil producer now, like, what, other than like a strategic ally in the Middle East, which we kind of already have with Israel, what does that provide a benefit for us, you know?
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening to Simplifying the State. We'll be back next week with our next episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time.